Hi all, Ham Solo here, K0FYR. So I am traveling. I'm currently in Vail, Colorado, and doing some work here, teaching a chemistry class actually to the fire department. And so I thought this would be a good time to kind of go over what my anticipated Back to the Basics series is going to be about. And so, what I wanted to discuss in this video is basically kind of how I went about wanting to get into ham radio. Uh, had been interested in trying to find a hobby at the time, and had looked online trying to see is there anything that would be something to do in the meantime, especially while I'm traveling. And what I settled on was amateur radio. I saw some people doing some activations of parks on the air and summits on the air, and talking on radios, both digital type like DMR or D-Star, and felt that was kind of an interesting subject. I kind of wanted to do that over time, but I never got into it, and so decided to pursue that. Learned about how to get signed up basically to take a test. In order to even talk to the FCC, you have to go online and get a FCC registration number. That's the first thing that you have to do to even approach a radio club in order to take a test for, let's say, a technician license. You have to have an FCC registration number in order to fill out the paperwork. And so I went online to the FCC website, the ULS database website, Google searched it, and basically that's where it told me all the information I needed in order to apply for that FCC registration number, so that I'd have the number in order to apply for the test. I will show you some screenshots of that as we go along. In addition, I needed to study, and everybody learns different. I teach courses all over the U.S., different, mostly law enforcement and fire service, but I have taught some environmental scientists, some PhD doctors, and then some regular civilian workers, like, let's say, water treatment plants and things like that. And so everybody learns a little bit different, and I don't want to get too deep into those academic modalities. You talk about psychomotor domain, learning by touching or feeling, or cognitive domain, learning by hearing or writing down or listening. Basically, the way I wanted to study was I wanted to be exposed to the test questions. They're readily available, and a lot of different websites and everything will have basically, here's the entirety of the test questions. Let's say the test bank is 400 questions. They'll have every single question on there. Some of them break them down by the group and break them down by the subject matter or the chapter. The one I opted to go with, I'll post as well as a picture, but it's called Fast Track to whichever license you're going for, and so I decided to go that way. The reason I like that material or his book is that not only is he just giving you the question and the answer, he's giving you the wrong answers. He's giving you the correct answer. He's giving you why the wrong answers are wrong, and then he's telling you why the correct answer is correct. And I didn't want to do the thing where I'm just going to study and rote teach or rote learn the questions and just know the answer is A because I read that question 500 times. I know it's A. I wanted to know why it was A. Not just to have a study session, cram and forget in a week. I wanted to understand why it was that way. And so that even after my technician exam, I would have a breadth of knowledge to understand why the question was answered that way. And of course, once you apply it and you start using a radio, it becomes much clearer why you're learning all those things. And so as I, progressed up in my licensing and got my general and my amateur extra, I was able to apply those things while talking on the radio. You just don't really have that option with technician. You can listen, you can hear conversations, you just can't transmit. And so that one's a little bit tougher, I think, from that standpoint. I can read all day long, but if I can't apply it, it's kind of hard to understand what they mean in some of the material. But you can monitor, you can listen, you don't need a license for that. You just can't transmit until once you get your technician license. And so I'm going to, cut away the screen. I'm going to go to the iPad or the computer, and I'm going to show you basically the FCC website where you sign up to get your registration number. I'll show you the license database, how you apply, what forms you need, and it depends on the Mountain Amateur Radio Club VE sessions. It depends on which club you go to, because some people provide the forms to you and you don't have to print them out. Other ones want you to print the form and bring it with you already filled out. So that just depends on who you go with when you do your testing. I know there's online testing, so you can do it also that route. But for the most part, I'm just going to show you kind of how I did it. And again, studying the material, I felt was rather easy using that source, and I'll show you the source and what the questions kind of look like, and we'll kind of go from there. So this is kind of the very beginning of how I started, how I got into it, and how I went about doing my initial study for my technician exam, as well as registering on the database to get the number, and then going and actually taking my exam. All right, so the idea is that you need to find or obtain an FCC registration number in order to do any business with the FCC, which would include trying to fill out any forms or applying to take a test or whatever to get your ham radio amateur license. And so basically I'm just going to go to any search address bar in a web browser, and I'll just say FCC registration number. And when you do that, basically the first thing you're going to get is go to their website, and it says information on getting an FCC registration number. You need an FCC registration number if you're doing any business with the FCC. So steps to do it. Go to that link. And I already have that link as a website right here. So the FCC registration. The website is https apps.fcc.gov cores CORES web /public home. And again, that's the link that you're getting right here on this website here. So it opens up and it says, what do you want to do? Register. Click on it. Are you a business or an individual? Individual is your current address in the United States or a territory of the United States, whichever one applies to you. Continue. Fill out the registration form. Once you do that and you hit submit, they will send you your FCC registration number. And then from that point, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to register or apply to take a test. And again, any amateur radio club in your area will usually give you information on what you want to do. I know there's a form on here. Yeah. So generally, like I said, when you go to take your test, for whoever you signed up to take it through, whoever the volunteer examiner section that you signed up for to take your technician exam, you're going to fill out this form 605. And so a lot of times they pre-print a lot of the top information, and so the only thing you need to probably put in there is going to be, you can see here, applicants must fill in section 1 of that form, and it's going to ask for your name, your call sign if you had one previously. If not, the FCC registration number that we just looked up, your city, state, zip, email address, daytime, and it says an email address and the FCC registration number are mandatory. You must have those in order to submit your form that you are taking the test. And again, a lot of the times that happens on the day of your testing at your testing location. They have that 605 form. You're filling out that top portion during the testing day, and then that is what is your grades are put on, and they submit. The VE team submits that for you after you take the actual written, and you pass. If you don't pass, they're just going to hand the form back to you. But if you do pass, that'll be submitted with your passing, your element 1 or 2 or 3, whichever one you're taking. All right, here's the form. This is what it looks like. This is the form that you're filling out. And again, that's usually going to be at the testing site provided by the testing volunteer examiners that are there. So again, they're telling you your last name, your first name, if you have a call sign previously, mailing address and so forth, email address. Here's your FCC registration number that you previously applied for. Standard kind of questions. Have you ever been convicted of a felony? Whatever. I hereby apply for examination for a new license grant. That's what you would be doing. This is your first time for technician. And then you're going to sign it. And then once you take your test, they'll click or check box of whichever test you were taking. If you passed the section or the element, and then there's always 3 VEs who have to verify all the information and that you passed, and then that form gets submitted. All right, this whole section here didn't record with any audio, so I'm having to dub over the top of it. Basically, I downloaded a Nook book from Barnes & Noble, which was the Fast Track to Amateur Radio Technician License. And I already previously had the picture of the front cover in the previous section of the video. And so in this book, I mean, he goes over, basics of radios and how you would study. And he goes kind of in depth on that in the first couple of chapters. Just, how the book works, how you'd study, what amateur radio is all about. And then once he starts getting into the meat and potatoes of the first subject matters, like electricity and radio basics or so on, as you move through each section, basically once it starts to get to questions that are on the actual test, he'll label that, mark it with the exact section, what chapter of the test bank it came from, and then he'll give you the correct answer, what all the answers are, and an explanation of what the correct answer was and why. And so I thought that was kind of very interesting with this type of book. And so here you see Chapter 4, The Science of Radio Waves. Then you can see he has T1A01 that's saying Technician Class, Section A, Question 1, and that's how he kind of lists them. And so the first one you got there is an actual real one, T3A07 in the letter A in parentheses. That's answer A for that, whatever's about to come up from Technician, Section 3, Group A, Question 7. And so exactly what section it's coming out of. You know what the correct answer is to start out. And then as he goes and actually looks at the question itself, it'll say basically radio signals and receiving station and so forth is the question. And then electromagnetic, electrostatic, surface acoustic, ferromagnetic, and then the answer why. An antenna radiates both electric and magnetic fields. Put them together, you get electromagnetic waves. That's why the answer was A. And that's exactly how he does each question from each chapter, from each subject matter. And then you're able to follow along, understand why the answer is right, what the right answer is, and then you just move on to the next question, right? Well, after each one of these chapters, then what he does is he normally has links that go to his website, and in the website link that he'll give you for that book, you're going to have study questions, progress checks, chapter exams, as well as final exams, and you can take them over and over and over and over, and it's just basically the entirety of the 400 question test bank, and you can take those ad nauseum as often as you want to take exams, as often as you want to log in to this website, Fast Track to your ham radio license. And then once you log in, you see up there at the top you have the choice for beginner, technician, general, extra class, and so forth. And then when you do the drop down menu for each one after you log in, you'll see, like for technician, the drop down menu, I'm going to go the fourth one down, technician class practice exam. And once I click on that, it's going to give me the option to choose what I want to do. And so again, as I chose that, I have the choice to do exams by chapter, class chapter quizzes, progress checks, group drills, final practice exams, so forth. So after each chapter, it'll say, you should do progress check number 6, and you click on whichever one you're supposed to do. And once you click on it, it's basically the test, So let's go down there in the progress checks. Let's pick on one of them. And then there is now 35 to 50 questions from that chapter, from that specific project progress check, up to the point that you've studied at that point. And again, like I said, you can take those over and over and over and over and over and over. There's no, you failed and you can no longer proceed. It's just basically you studying and taking the progress checks. And again, first I'm going to read the book. I'm going to look at the question, all the answers, the correct answer, why it's correct. Then I come over and do the progress checks just as a follow-up to make sure that I really understood what the material was. And so that's pretty much how I studied. And so I did that for the better part of, I'd say, about a month. Studied the technician book that I showed you, the material, the source material, why it was right, and then I would come take the progress checks. And that's pretty much the way that I knocked out doing my technician exam. Hey guys, so hopefully that helped out with you kind of understanding the process, my mindset of how I went through it. Pretty simple, go on the internet, get your FCC registration number, and then start studying. Get together with whoever your amateur radio club or testing VE site is in your area, and just go take the test. Study a little bit, put a little effort into it, learn the reasons why. Don't just rote teach yourself the answers, and then I think you'll be on your way. And there's a lot of amazing things that you can do once you obtain that technician amateur radio license. So affiliate links below, like always, even for some of the early radios that you'd want to get to use once you get a technician's license. So I've got coupon codes for 10% off and 5% off and 7% off, whoever it is, Radioddity or Better Safe Radios, and then my affiliate link for Bridgecom. And visit those. Again, I've got my crowdfunding thing that started with Buy Me a Coffee. If you want to support the channel so I can get radios to review for you. And then also I got the Patreon started now. So if you want to become a patron of the channel, same thing. Obtain a membership. The money goes towards the channel, and I'm going to use it to purchase radio equipment and do reviews. And then at a point, I will then offer those up as giveaways. And so that's the plan. I hope you enjoy the content. Again, this is a Back to Basics series of how to obtain your technician license. So appreciate you watching. This is Ham Solo, K0FYR 73.